All right, Wilmington, here on Dollars and Cents. We had such an incredible conversation going with Captain Albie Solana from EEZ Fishing Incorporated, and it was just too much to fit into an hour-long show. So we wanted to do a little extra outtake that we could share on Facebook that a little bit more loose, not as tight as an hour-long show has to be.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I unbuttoned my top button on my shirt, so I'm ready. I'm ready to party.
This commercial fishing thing that you've built, this little mini empire that you got going on here, isn't just exclusive to selling to Mott's Channel, which is, you said, about 90 to 95% of where you unload your fish and where you keep your boat. Have you worked with any other fisheries, or have you had any other plans to grow or add another boat?
Yeah, well, I initially never planned on commercial diving for the rest of my life. I mean, it's one of those things that really beats up your body and mentally drains you. It's something that I had a love for, and I wanted to do it for a certain amount of time. But now at this point in my career, I would like to move into more of the fish house side of it and start working in the sector of actually selling my fish and trying to get the highest price I can for my fish, because we take such good quality care and bring in a product that nobody else does. So I initially sold my fish to Haig & Sons down in Oak Island, and I've started to work with John Haig, the owner of Haig & Sons, on and off every once in a while, going down there and learning the business with him. And he's kind of taken an interest in wanting me to possibly invest into his business, since his sons don't want anything to do with the business, and he wants the name of Haig & Sons to continue to go on after he's done with the business. So he's kind of taken me in and leading me in the direction of possibly being part of that business. And that's where it's been going with me, is working on finding a crew where I could keep my boat, my permits, and keep my boat fishing, and at the same time not have to be out there on every single trip and doing every dive. And
so obviously, I mean, you've been a student of what you do. I mean, all the way from Rutgers and putting your time in for that, and to where you're at now. Have you found that person that you felt like you can latch on to be their mentor? Is there somebody that's up and coming that's a part of your crew, or somebody that you've worked with that you can hand those reins down to and create that legacy?
Yeah, there's been so many of them, and it's one of the hardest things to do in this industry is find a good crew member, especially when it comes to diving, to find somebody you can trust your life with when you're down there, and somebody that's smart enough to figure out what to do when problems happen on the boat out there and how to fix and repair. It's not only about being a good diver and a boat handler, but being a plumber, a mechanic, a carpenter, and there's so many different aspects of things that you have to do. At this point, I do have a really good crew member. He's young. He's 24 years old. His name's Danyar. He's of Russian descent, but he's from the west coast of Florida, and he grew up working with other commercial fishing boats, and he's a great crew member. And I got him working with me full-time right now, and he's been the one that I've been training to kind of take my place on there so I can step off of the boat and let the boat go out there without me, as long as we can find another crew member to go with him. That's the next part. So I'm still in the process of finding that one other guy that I could send out with him. But once I do, then then I could let the boat go and I could start working on the fish house end of the field.
That's cool.
Employees have definitely been, a consistent headache and heartache and liability for all the different business owners that we've had on Dollars and Cents. And with what you do, you're basically teaching somebody that could go out and start and do the same kind of business that you're doing. I mean, obviously they might not have access to the permit or might not be able to afford their own boat, but you're teaching a skill to somebody that, you know, fortunately, if you're a good boss and, you know, you take care of your people, like this guy seems to be working out with you. Have you had problems like that where you felt like you trained somebody and then they kind of just took that knowledge and pieced out and went off to do their own thing?
It hasn't happened to me, but it is always something that's on the back of my head. Like, oh my God, am I going to teach this guy everything I need to know? And not only that, is that there's a possibility he could take the numbers that I have, the spots, you know, it's not that the pieces of bottom that we dive. I spend a lot of time, sometimes nights that are flat calm out there. We will stay up all night with it. I put some really good electronics on the boat so I could find these spots at night when the reef goes to sleep. We will drive around all night looking for little cracks of rock in the bottom that, you know, during the day will be lit up with bait, but at night you don't see anything. But with my side scan sonar, I could find these little spots, and they end up being $1,000 spot once a year. Once you hit the spot, that's it. You can't come back there for another year. And I have built up over the last 6-7 years, I've built up a collection of numbers that if someone was to get their hands on them, they could ruin me. So there's something I protect. I protect them with my life. It's one of the most important investments I have are the GPS numbers I have for these little tiny reefs that hold
honey holes.
That hold a lot of fish on them. But like I said, only for once a year. Once you hit it that one time, it takes almost a full year for it to replenish with new fish again. So, it's always something in the back of my head. Like if I got somebody coming on the boat and I'm training them all this stuff, that they could turn around and get a loan and get their own boat and start their own business and do it. And I try my best to treat my crew members as good as I can and to pay them. I feel like sometimes I pay them too much.
They would probably say, no, you can never pay enough, but that's
I've
that
never
line.
had anyone complain about not getting paid enough. I do pay better than most people, other people do, but you know, I need a crew member that's on a level that is way higher than your average fisherman, someone that I could trust my life in their hands when I go underwater.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, that is something that I do fear and I worry about from time to time.
So that overhead, obviously, for paying them more, I mean, because your life is invaluable. I mean, of course, your wife would say, even especially for the transition of you getting to the fish house, she's probably pushing that a little bit quicker than you are. But a two-part question for you on this. What's the most that you spent on a single trip versus what's the most that you've brought back in profit in a single trip for your lines?
On average, our trip expenses on our average trips, if we get the weather window, are going to be 3 to 5 days dock to dock. You know, a lot of times we'll leave at, you know, sometimes we don't leave till noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's just a travel day. We'll get out there by 10 o'clock at night, anchor up, go to sleep, get up, and then start diving from that point on. And then we'll get back in late at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, 3 or 4 days later. But usually it's 3 to 4 days of diving, and our trip expenses usually range somewhere between the least amount would be, you know, $500 and as high as $1,400. You know, shafts would be, we don't buy any bait, but shafts, our spears, could be a very high expense if we're losing them. Like if we get into fish that are, you know, bending shafts and breaking shafts on us, you know, they're $50 a pop. We had one trip last year, our best trip last year, and this is going to be my best trip of all the years. We came in with $14,000 of fish, a little over $14,000 of fish.
Whoa.
In one trip.
In one trip.
Holy cow.
And it was me and 2 other crew members, and it was 3 days of diving. It was in a short period.
What's so cool is like that new TV show about the fishing show on the Outer Banks, and they come into the dock, and you know they've got 1 fish or 2 fish, and they slap it down, and I mean, you know, they price it out per pound. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. No, that was our best trip. And our expenses on that trip were really high because we got into big fish and they bent a lot of shafts. So we ended up having somewhere around, I think it was like $1,300 or $1,400 in trip expenses, and $600 or $700 of it was just in bent shafts.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, be honest with you, this could be just my ignorance too, man. That actually seems lower than what I would think. So, I mean, even the return for a big trip like that, that's got to be a great income. But that's pretty typical, is around that $500 to $1,500 range.
And is that including gas as well?
Yeah, our fuel expense, groceries. Our expenses go fuel, groceries, air for the tanks. Like I said, I charge $5 a tank that we fill. And then if we do bring any bait, which we usually don't, our shafts, any gear that we lose, and I think that's about it. There's not really any other expenses that we have on the trips besides those.
Does Mott's let you park for free since you do a lot of the business with them, or?
I pay for dockage there, and a small price for ice, which is included in the dockage fee.
You don't have an ice maker on the boat?
No. We get all of our ice from Mott's, and we pay for Wrightsville Beach. It's not a high amount. I think I don't. It's a pretty low amount that we pay for dockage there. Considering it's Wrightsville Beach,
oh, yeah.
The dockage could be very expensive there. No, we have a good deal at Mott's and a good working relationship there, and they're super happy to get such high quality fish there. And
are there any standout chefs or anybody that is exclusively running maybe even your name or the boat's name on their menu?
Yeah, there had been several restaurants that had. I think Pembrooks was doing it, saying, whatever fish it may have been, black sea bass, caught by the Orion from Mott's Channel Seafood. When I was in Key West and we were catching golden tile fish, our fish were getting shipped up to New Jersey, and there were several restaurants there that they were all selling our golden tile fish caught on the Orion by this boat.
And they said New Jersey's own.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, that's something that several restaurants locally have been doing that. I think Pembrooks was doing it. I think RX Grill was doing it. Places like that are specializing in having local seafood, they've been advertising on their menus that it's, these fish were speared by, I think Mana might have been doing it at one time with our African pompano.
Oh, Billy Mellon.
Yeah. So there's been a couple of different places. Sam, the new place downtown that Sam Cahoon opened up, the one that was running ceviches, that was the head chef there. I forget the name of it.
Is it Platypus or?
No, Suarez, or what is it called? I can't think of the name of it.
There's so many of them now.
Yeah. But yeah, he had been. I noticed. I saw my name or my boat's name on their menu. Yeah, there's been quite a few places that have been doing it, and it's leaning in that direction where a lot of people want to know where their food is coming from,
farm to table.
Yeah, and how it's being caught, and that's like the direction that I like seeing it going into, because we took such high quality care of our fish that I would love to see my name advertised on the menu or wherever people are getting the fish, that these were speared fish caught by, this so-and-so boat, whether it's Orion or any other boat that's doing it that way.
See, for some reason, I'm envisioning you in some generic captain's outfit on the cover of like their door, like your fresh catch caught by Captain Albie.
Yeah.
Now, something added to that too, and I will jump in this proverbial boat too of being ignorant to it. There's a lot of story and a lot of danger that goes into the time frame before it gets to the plate, obviously. And something you shared with me, people have this perception of TV shows about, the shows with people fishing in Alaska and doing all these different things. Now, it seems to me that the danger level of what you're dealing with trumps all of that. Like, there's nothing that I've heard from your stories that doesn't suggest otherwise.
Yeah, no, but like everyone knows, commercial fishing is the most dangerous profession there is, with the highest amount of casualties per capita compared to any other career there is out there. And then when you want to really single it down, spearfishing and commercial diving in general is by far the most dangerous there is. And that's why we take every precaution to do it as safely as we can. And no matter how safe you are and how many precautions you take, there's always going to be some sort of factor out there, something that could go wrong. There's so many things that could go wrong down there. You just never know. And it is what it is. And we try our best to keep our lives safe and our crew members' lives safe, but you can never be too careful, and that's why it's always good to learn from mistakes that other people have, and looking back at the history of people that have lost their lives doing it and figuring out what exactly it was that caused them to die, and making sure that it's something that you avoid and everybody else learns from it as well.
Well, I will tell you this, Captain Albie Solana of EEZ Fishing Incorporated, one hell of a fisherman and one hell of a storyteller too, man. We've really enjoyed this extra time with you. So, man, I know for myself and for Hunter, we've really enjoyed this time. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed being out here. This was a great interview. I really enjoyed my time with you guys. It was really fun.
All right, man. Well, stay safe out there, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
We're making dollars make sense here on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7.